This is TWiT.
So just the background, Musk has been teasing this for a week. He said, okay, 2 p.m., I'm going to release all the secret moderation files that are going to show how biased Twitter trust and safety was. And, the Hunter Biden laptop thing being the chief of these. Why did they take down those nude pictures of Hunter Biden? And then there's more, about people they had banned and so forth and so on. And I think Devin actually had a fairly reasonable take. He says, Musk's Twitter files offer a glimpse of the raw, complicated, and thankless task of moderation. Of course, I think Elon really wants to kind of create this as some sort of scandal. Is he succeeding, Connie? Is it a scandal?
It depends on who you talk to. I mean, Elon Musk has been leaking or sharing these Twitter files, which I think TechCrunch did an excellent job breaking down that the there that they thought was there, that he's claiming is there, is not there. That it shows a complicated issue and people actually being very thoughtful about how to curate content in a complex time. So anybody who actually reads that will see, whatever Musk and his acolytes are saying is false. But the problem is most people won't read.
They don't read
what
them.
Is actually
They
there.
just read what Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss, two right-wing hacks, have to say about it. So it's very biased, I think, in its... You're laughing at me, Alex. Is that not appropriate to call Matt and Barry hacks?
You mistake my laughter as aimed at you, Leo. Not at all. I'm just giggling because people claimed that Twitter was operating in a partisan manner to create a specific narrative. And then as they accused former Twitter of doing that, they're literally doing that again, because you are correct about Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss. And I find it really funny that Elon says he's like a centrist and wants to advocate for Ron DeSantis and also to people to vote Republican in the last election. He's not moderate. He's not center. He's even a bit right for even the American political landscape, which is famously right-leaning already compared to Europe. And I think the Twitter files have been a flop in terms of driving any meaningful conversation about moderation. What they have done is, as Connie pointed out, create a fustercluck of people bouncing around, shouting and screaming and stamping their feet. And essentially anyone who has paid attention to this has just seen people repeat their priors after it's come out. So it has moved the ball 0 centimeters forward, and you could even say it's moved it backwards.
As Devin points out with a screenshot, among the things released in the Twitter files is the libs of TikTok, which is a notorious and problematic
that's the polite way of putting
Twitter
it.
account, which has caused violence against birth control, or rather abortion clinics and transgender people, has the big banner, do not take action on user without consulting trust and safety. They're saying don't ban this.
But I mean,
so it isn't I think, though, really more important story here, and I really think Devin gets a lot of credit for writing this, is what it shows you is how hard it is to do moderation at scale with 300 million daily or monthly active users.
But I mean, if we're all editors here. If a journalist had come to me with this story, I'd be like, so what's your hook? What, content moderation is hard? They blocked
the Hunter Biden laptop story from the New York Post for a whole 24 hours.
I got approached for the Hunter Biden laptop story, and I said, fine, show me the data. It's like, well, we can't show it to you, but you need to publish this in the next 2 weeks.
Right.
I'm not going to do that.
Right.
You've got to check these things out. You've got to understand what's going on. And it's just like, this was a completely unfounded claim. At the time, as it turns out, I don't know, but at the time itself, why should you amplify something like that?
Right. In fact,
and what are they advocating for as a replacement for this process that we saw, which was people trying to take on very complex questions at important times in a difficult moment? Their response to how to fix this is let Elon make all the choices himself.
That's why head of trust and safety Yoel Roth resigned. Yoel said,
and is now being absolutely hounded.
Which is sad. Elon's really being scathing about Yoel.
He's not being scathing. He's inciting violence.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. Call it what it is. I know he
was happy with Yoel as long as Yoel was supporting him in tweets. And as soon as Yoel said, you know what, I can't, there's no need for trust and safety if one man makes all the decisions, so I'm leaving. It wasn't even a mean thing. But it is mean now.
Look, I know Elon's fond of paedophilia references, but I mean, he's literally set the mob on this guy. It's ridiculous.
And that's the QAnon side of it, which is this absolutely absurd notion that the Democrats drink the blood of children, and this whole pedophilia thing is pure QAnon. And it strikes me that Elon has been red-pilled, that he has been swayed onto the dark side, which is a real problem when you have ownership and complete control over such a big platform as Twitter. To me, this is the hair on fire problem. The good news is I think by now most people have stopped, worrying about believing anything they read. And I presume that news accounts no longer quote tweets as much as they used to be. That's where they got the leads, right? Is it the same? Has it changed? How do you treat Twitter differently now?
Oh,
yeah. I mean, you see
that was
so
a
much
well-timed
rubbish.
sigh.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, you see so much stuff on there. You've always got to check your sources. That's what our job is to do, is to check information rather than just spamming it out and, trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator with whatever the juiciest story is. But I don't know how everyone else is, but I just on Twitter in the last 2 or 3 weeks, spam is through the roof. I'm getting a hell of a lot of weird porn in the news stuff. And I'm getting tweets from people I have no interest in whatsoever. I don't know what's going on there. Like I say, last chopper out of Saigon feeling.
I'm curious what Connie thinks, because if you go to Connie's Twitter profile, it notes that CNET is the world's #1 consumer tech news and advice site. And I feel like this is a question that we should ask, not from our perspectives, because we're all way too online, but what is CNET saying to the regulars about this stuff?
Well, so, I've been watching this dumpster fire along with the rest of you, and there's a couple of observations. People follow the people that they want to follow, and either you trust them or you don't, right? And so we're seeing the amplification of a lot of other weird, bizarre accounts for some back-end business reason that I don't think any of us have figured out. But I also think it's because there has been a small percentage of Twitter users have kind of disengaged and are now watching the fire rather than participating in burning the books. And CNET's advice, we've done a timeline of everything that's happening at CNET, at Twitter, because it's just like it's minute to minute, second by second, and it can take over your life here in tech. But in most of America, they don't care. People don't care anything about what's happening at Twitter, the average person. What they care about is living their life and trying to pay their bills and being able to afford Christmas presents if they've just lost their job or what have you. And so there is a lot of attention by the media and by influencers who want to make this an important story, because it is just spectacular to watch this man who claims that he's all about free speech. And every time I hear him say that, I think of that Princess Bride line. I don't think that phrase means what you think it means, because obviously he doesn't know what he's talking about. So he's just manipulating people, and who tweets out misinformation, and then Twitter itself has to correct his tweets. How many of those have we seen? So I think a lot of the wait and see and the last helicopter is about, can this be salvaged? What is going to happen?
Should it be
or
salvaged?
Is it just going to implode?
Should it be salvaged? Is there value to it that we want to preserve?
Yes, my Twitter account. I want to preserve that.
Alex, you spent good money to get ALEX as your handle.
Well, no, forget the $60 I paid back in the day. It's it's the 14 years, and I have deleted hundreds of thousands of tweets from myself, and after my latest purge, I'm still like 120K. I can't help myself. I love it. It's like a service designed for me. Don't take it away.
It is.
Yeah.
There is, and it's an endorphin.
There's
an endorphin thing going on. It's an addictive
it's
thing.
a great thing in itself, but I think Connie has a very good point. It's the 7th biggest social network. It's very popular with journalists, very popular with politicians, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
For your day-to-day...
That's why it has a disproportionate...
Yeah, but for your day-to-day operations, most people really don't care that much.
Yeah. The real world doesn't.
Yeah, but it's just...
Yeah. Except for a while it did. You would see the Twitter handle on The Voice and, on TV shows and... for a while there, it really did matter. It was like, this is how you showed that you were with it.
No, one of my tweets, this is a shameless self-promotion, but one of my tweets actually appeared on a British comedy show because they were someone from the New York Times who was working in London got their house broken into, and they're like, oh, this is terrible. It's like, has anyone else got an experience as a petty crime that they'd like to share? And of course, being British, we took the piss. So I just responded, yes, some monster put the milk in before the tea bag. I called the police, but they were not interested.
Which comedy show were you on?
Oh, this was some British.
That's good.
I forget the bloke's
Cats or
no. This was some sketch show from the blonde-haired comic. Oh God, I can't remember his name now. It's on my Twitter feed, as it happens, but no.
Yeah. Well, I just want to add, it doesn't, Twitter, what happens on Twitter doesn't matter to a lot of, people outside of that bubble, except that it does matter in that the media amplifies what's happening on Twitter.
That's
and
why
you saw that during the presidential campaign, and you're seeing it now we've seen it with misinformation about COVID and vaccines. So it's a pipeline that people then use, and then things that should not be amplified are able to be amplified. And why the former president was so distraught about being kicked off his free megaphone, because the reach and the PR amplification of that service, held him in good stead. And
Trump used Twitter masterfully. You agree?
He used it very effectively, and I think that there's going to be, the history books will write many compelling histories and analysis of what went wrong and what misinformation and disinformation means and what it looked like during this period of time when people believed all sorts of really crazy things that you still question why they believe it, right? But you're also seeing now someone who has claimed that he wants to clean it up and he just wants truth to prevail, actually in a very short amount of time. I mean, when did he take over Twitter? In October? Swing from trying to be this voice of reason to this.
Yeah, I don't know what's going
disinformation.
on. He reminds me in some ways of Donald Trump, kind of an attention whore, really. Like, I don't know if he cares about what he's saying. He just likes the attention.
Oh, he's post-economic in terms of personal wealth, so he can do what he likes. But I mean,
that's the dream, man.
Actually, though, can he? I mean, there is some issue with this. He's got $44 billion sunk into this. Not all his money, but he has at least $1 billion a year interest payment he's going to have to pay. It's hurt Tesla stock significantly. It's hurt his own. He's lost $100 billion in net worth in the year alone. Now, anybody who's got more than $1 billion in net worth is, as to use Bill Gates' phrase, virtually infinitely wealthy. I mean, it's hard to spend that kind of money. So the fact that he only has $90 billion, big deal. But it could go worse. It could continue to struggle. Tesla's stock could continue to go down.
I got to say, I mean, if you look at the kind of people that are buying Teslas, they're not going to be happy about the way Twitter is going.
Yeah.
It's not.
I'll tell you where I'd be unhappy is that he's pulling in all these Tesla engineers who, by all rights, should be working on making full self-driving actually work to work on Twitter. In fact, there's a lawsuit on that. There's also a lawsuit on his compensation. He's paid $56 billion last year by Tesla.
I mean, there's also
and now he's got 3 companies to be running.
I mean, there's a clear double standard on this because, I'm just trying to open Twitter up and make it available for all voices. Have you tried going on Parler or Gab or Reddit or Conservative or anything like that? Yeah. And if you express anything which is outside of the prescribed line, you're instabanned.
It's all tribal now.
So it's just like, we've got this guy. Literally, if you can throw $44 billion at something like this, that's an argument maybe for higher taxation. I know that's a terrible thing to say, but maybe people shouldn't have that much money and be that unstable.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Rod Pyle, editor-in-chief of Ad Astra Magazine, and each week I join with my co-host to bring you This Week in Space, the latest and greatest news from the final frontier. We talk to NASA chiefs, space scientists, engineers, educators, and artists, and sometimes we just shoot the breeze over what's hot and what's not in space, books, and TV. And we do it all for you, our fellow true believers. So whether you're an armchair adventurer or waiting for your turn to grab a slot in Elon's Mars rocket, join us on This Week in Space and be part of the greatest adventure of all time.